Hey, it's Neil. Maybe for the last time today, April 15th. I wanted to show some useful thing. If you're developing in Google CloudShell, you can use Web Preview, and that gives you a URL that you can use to access your code, right? Everyone knows this. But what's cool is you can use that URL now with MVP. So I've just uploaded MVP HTML and JS to my server, and then specify that URL. I made it so you don't have to put in HTTP or HTTPS. It'll put that in for you. And by doing that, let's see if I can show you both at once. So let's clear everything out, and we're going to watch this run. That's pretty cool. So this allows you to test CORS stuff very easily without having to redeploy the Cloud Run server, because you can just edit the stuff on your CloudShell instance and then rerun here and then see it work. And they're both using HTTPS, right? Which is really nice, because if you're using localhost, nothing fucking works. And if you're using file, nothing fucking works. Two HTTPS servers, everything works as it would on production. And you're wondering how this works. That's because MVP uses credentials include by default, and that passes along the cookie for Google Cloud Shell. So not in the fetch. Let's look at a doc request. Actually, it isn't in the fetch, right? So it's requesting this URL, my Cloud Shell URL, and in order to access it, I'm looking at response. That's my problem. It's passing in the CloudShell authorization cookie, because you've been, as long as you're logged in, right? That's been set. And since we have include credentials, now that gets passed along. And thankfully, we have our response headers set up in a way that the cookie has the correct settings to go through CORS. So that's awesome. So we can actually test pretty much anywhere. I'm using, again, my personal domain, gibden.com, to connect to my CloudShell instance. You can see when this doesn't work, because if we turn off cookies and just use the auth, the bearer token, it won't work. And that's because any one of these, if you look at it, it's going to ask the client to redirect to log in, because CloudShell is totally private, right? It uses that cookie to determine, hey, this is still Neil and he's logged into his CloudShell instance. So kind of a cool little thing, very useful when you're testing CORS stuff like we've been doing a lot of, without having to redeploy the whole Cloud Run server.